Coming up on this edition of ATV News.
So much water.
We'll show you how Zurchers got swamped before Valentine's Day.
I think it's important, but I think even more, I think it's just fun.
We'll show you how the USU Student Association is pushing students out of their culinary comfort zones.
And what makes herding cows so much tougher than herding sheep.
We'll take a look at the NBA standings to help you decide if it's time to buy Jazz playoff tickets.
Will the heavy snow continue? I'll show you in weather.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
You might have had a slippery drive to work this morning, and you're not alone. The snowstorm that hit us here in Cache Valley earlier today is moving through Utah. We'll go more into that in a moment. Welcome to ATV News. I'm Sarah Murphy.
And I'm Robinson Miles. According to the Utah Department of Transportation, the snowstorm that hit Cache Valley last night created dangerous travel conditions this morning. After dropping approximately 4 to 8 inches on Cache Valley, the storm is heading south along the Wasatch Front. A winter storm warning is in effect for the Tooele and Salt Lake valleys until later this evening. This morning, the Utah Highway Patrol responded to 34 crashes, 2 of which resulted in injuries, and had over 300 calls since midnight. Forecasters are predicting 6 to 12 inches of snow for Utah and Davis counties. In the Cottonwood Canyons, they're predicting 20 to 25 inches.
In other news from the storm, officials are still on alert after an extreme avalanche danger warning was issued yesterday in Logan. According to the Utah Avalanche Center, an extreme avalanche danger is the highest level of danger. This alert means that avalanches are certain to occur and they are faster and more destructive than normal. They also may happen in places not normally affected by avalanches. Officials say that the fresh snow we received over the past few days, combined with the older layer of snow, causes these extreme avalanches.
Everybody's really excited for snow, and so a lot of people are going to go up and play in that snow, and you got all the conditions in place for people to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and trigger avalanche.
Officials caution all skiers and snowboarders to stick to main paths and be aware of your surroundings.
Those were some of the short-term impacts of this snowstorm, but what were some of the long-term impacts? Kiki Tuileta joins us live from the quad.
That's right, I'm here on campus where you can see we've got quite a bit of snow here. Snow is really important for us, especially here in Cache Valley, because it's one of the main sources of water for us. But this past few months have been drier than most.
The snow the past 2 weeks have been a welcome sight. However, there are still concerns about Utah's water supply.
We aren't adding to the reservoirs, we're continuing to draw them down. You know, the expectation is that conservation efforts will be placed on specific districts across the state that are looking at more dire water resource outcomes for this next year.
Water guidelines are set by the individual districts themselves. So what does the future look like for Cache Valley District?
The one advantage we have is a little bit better savings accounts and a little bit lower population. So our supply and demand is a little bit easier to satisfy this year versus other parts of the state.
But Meyer says this doesn't mean we're in the clear and can leave the faucet running.
Current snowpack up here is no better than anywhere else in the state.
We get excited when we see a lot of snow, but snow doesn't always mean water. On average, every 10 inches of snow produces only 1 inch of water. And with Utah coming into month 10 of the drought, we're still missing a lot of water.
Honestly, it's not something I think about super often, but I think it's important that we have enough water to, do the things that we need to, so it's good not to waste water.
Meyer says that Cache Valley most likely won't face water restrictions, but does predict that we'll see conservation recommendations in the upcoming months.
It would make things difficult, definitely, if they put too much of a restriction on it, but if it was within reason, then I could see it.
I think water will be, a word of 2021 for Utah, where more people are going to be really seeing sensible impacts and being more cognizant of their water use.
With a 70% chance of snow this weekend, climatologists have their fingers crossed that Utah can keep this streak going. Kiki Tuileta, ATV News. Back to you, Rob.
Thanks, Kiki.
USU students have a new method when it comes to reporting sexual misconduct cases. Utah State released a new Title IX interim policy. The new policy offers students who have experienced any form of sexual misconduct three main options. The first option provides supportive measures like academic or emotional help. The second option, with proper jurisdiction, allows students to file a report and launch a formal investigation against their assailant. The third option is called an informal resolution for students who may not want to file a formal report. They can work with officials to request their assailant do things like offer a formal apology or receive sexual misconduct training.
We have a lot of people that come forward and say, I don't want the person to get in trouble. Like, I don't want them to have a sanction. I don't want them kicked out. I just want them educated. I want them to understand how this impacted me. And before, we weren't able to address it.
For more information about the new policy, you can find a link on our Facebook page.
Conservative radio icon Rush Limbaugh passed away today at age 70 after his year-long battle with lung cancer.
6:10 a.m. at 102.1 FM, the information station with Rush Limbaugh.
Welcome back to more of great moments from Rush Limbaugh, moments we've all shared together.
Known as the pioneer of morning radio, Rush Limbaugh's show is the highest-rated national talk show in America, according to RushLimbaugh.com. After being on the air for 32 years, the Rush Limbaugh Show is heard by 27 million people each week. Limbaugh is survived by his wife, Catherine.
Your holiday and party shopping needs may be affected after the local Zurchers flooded. Sam Walker got the inside look at Zurchers' wet weekend.
Rushing water, ruined merchandise, and the first day on the job. For the new Zurchers manager,
it was different challenges than I was expecting for today, but there's always challenges with being a manager.
Her challenge was handling a flood before everything in the store was lost.
Got to the front door and I saw a foot of water. And I opened the door and it all just flooded out.
Product and water was just flooding out into the parking lot everywhere. My heart sank for Jessica, knowing that this was her first day.
Right in time for Valentine's Day weekend, Zurchers and this kissing booth are both closed. So the people of Logan will have to go somewhere else for their holiday needs.
At this point in time, we're assisting in getting some product put back on. We've notified property owners and managers as well. They'll be shut down for some time getting this thing figured out.
Logan Fire and Water departments helped with the initial cleanup, but for the previous manager, it was hard to handle.
I saw the store from bare nothing to what it is now, and so this is kind of hard for me to see that my baby is in a mess right now.
Zurchers announced the store will be closed temporarily, but the new manager says that they are
still here for the long haul.
Sam Walker, ATV News.
The only products that got wet were closer to the ground, so Zurchers is hoping that the majority of products can be saved. The store is hoping to be back up and running soon.
And now for an update on the number of coronavirus cases in Utah. There have been over 6,000 new cases in Utah from last week, with over 14,000 active cases, and the total number of cases in Utah is over 360,000. In Cache County, there have been 51 new cases with over 500 active cases, and the total number of cases in Cache Valley is over 14,000 cases. At USU, there have been 13 new cases with 119 active cases and almost 3,000 total cases.
And coming up, we'll show you how buying local food can help with climate change.
We call it the 1,500-mile salad.
And Leah Krishoni will give you the 7-day forecast. The current temperature in Logan is 31 degrees.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it. I know. Come alive with the forest. The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
I'm going to jump right into the national forecast. So this big gray blob here is overcast with some snow, and this is moving across the country, which is why we have been also experiencing this in Utah as well. Over here down in the south, there is some green with some overcast, and that means that there's precipitation. And in the south, that is most likely going to be rain. We are also seeing that down here in Florida as well. Moving on to the state radar, we are seeing a lot of overcast and precipitation up here in North Logan, which is probably why we have had so many snowstorms recently. This storm is also moving from eastern Utah to western Colorado, and down here it's in the southwest of Utah, near the St. George area, and they are also seeing some snow with overcast. Moving on to the 7-day forecast. So we are also going to be getting more of that heavy snow. Today there was a 70% chance of snow, as you may have noticed, as it came down hard and roads were slippery and slushy. We are getting at least two more snow days, and that is going to be an 80% chance on Friday and a 50% chance on Saturday. There's also going to be a 30% chance of snow after midnight on Thursday. There's two more, there's going to be partly cloudy and sunny days. However, it will still be cold, as the temperatures will be in the mid-30s and the 20s for the low. You are all caught up on weather, and back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Leah. The food you buy at the grocery store is shipped in from all over the world, adding to air pollution and, according to a recent study, taking money away from Utah. ATV's Kaylee Foster looks at how local products can help grow Utah's economy.
A study by the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food and Utah State University found that of the $8.3 billion Utahns spent on food and drinks in 2019, $5.3 billion was bought from companies outside of Utah.
$5.3 billion is significant. And with beef being our top agricultural commodity in the state, and right now the majority of that beef, when a calf gets to a certain weight, they ship those calves out to the Midwest.
As food moves through the supply chain, it is making more money. However, many Utah ranchers are selling their calves before they're able to see it.
Ranchers in Utah have started recognizing that they can have some control of what they get for their final product. And by choosing to do that, they would need to keep their calves here longer, put more weight on them, find the markets, do the delivery.
The study shows there's an opportunity for farmers and processors to work together to supply local meat. At the same time, another company here in Utah has been working on vertical farming technology that can help farmers both feed livestock and grow crops year-round. This technology can even help with air pollution concerns.
Let's say we're having lunch in Chicago. The produce that is going to be fed to us as a part of our salad order or whatever, the produce on average has had to travel 1,500 miles up to 2,000 miles in order to get there.
The same thing's going to apply even here in Utah. So let's say I'm going to make a salad. My spinach, broccoli, and peppers are all going to come from different parts of the country or even world. This is because Utah is currently not in a growing season.
So if you can take the technology and move it to where the feed is consumed, then you get enormous benefit of control and reduction of greenhouse gases.
Kaylee Foster, ATV News.
Lindsay also says this technology can help farmers in places with a lot of land experiencing drought. Now, that was about the local food situation, and I'm here now with Rob's food situation.
That's right, Sarah. So this is what a lot of people imagine when they think of a college student's dinner. But this week, I took a look at what the USU Student Association is doing to broaden students' food horizons.
Coming up on this edition of ATV.
It's a delicious vegetable.
Tyson Holman is making himself dinner.
I'm an expert when it comes to mac and cheese, but when it comes to things like stir fry, it gets a little more into the gray area.
But tonight, he is making a stir fry. Thanks to the new USUSA program, Aggies Be Cookin'.
Chocolate chips to 10 ounces.
Members of the USU Student Association prepare meal kits each week for a different recipe they want to push students out of their comfort zone.
I just like to use my creativity with this and include meals that have new techniques or unfamiliar foods so that students can have an opportunity to try those.
Very simply with the florets, you can just
Videos like this one come with the meal kits and show how to make each meal. This cue is your clue where to get the meal kits that you've registered for. On the 3rd floor of the TSC, behind this ping pong table and pool table on these shelves.
And then we know what to put in their order.
The Student Association members who planned the program hope the meal kits make freshmen feel at home and are
Hopefully something that makes all the difference for those new students at Utah State.
This is the end.
Tyson used the meal kits 3 weeks in a row.
I've been trying to have like a meal plan, so I'll like shop on Sunday and then plan out my meals for the rest of the week, but that doesn't usually work out for me, so this is a godsend.
To register for a meal kit and see the schedule for upcoming recipes, visit the link on our Facebook page.
In dealing with disabilities, illnesses, or mental or emotional issues, many might turn to physical or psychological therapy. I learned about one form of therapy where the medication is music. Singing songs with Heather is what makes Tuesday one of the highlights of Eli's week.
He is a very social, touchy-feely boy, so when she comes, it's just, he loves it.
Rocket ship in the air, fly. Heather is a music therapist. This means she works with patients of all ages in all settings, using instruments like guitar, drums, and even bells to help patients reach their physical, mental, or emotional goals.
With music therapy, you're able to go through a different window, to reach them in a different way that other therapies wouldn't be able to.
Music therapy is therapy. A lot of people say, do you just sit around and sing for people all day long? Not at all. We are using the elements of music to either rehabilitate or maintain or restore what was lost.
Therapists say that every element in music can influence a patient. Things like a change in volume, from loud to quiet, or a change in pace, from fast to slow, or even a change of song. Each of these elements can affect a different part of the brain.
Music has this way of connecting pathways in the brain that aren't normally connected.
We can help a person overcome their pain because it shares the same neural pathway as music.
What do you see? Patients' families say the effects can be profound.
We can tell a difference when they come, and he's just so much more excited.
And therapists say these effects extend beyond just the patient.
It makes me believe in the human strength. And just to be able to see the raw emotions come out, that's my favorite thing. It definitely impacts me for sure.
Therapists say that music therapy is a growing field, and according to the Fine Arts Center, USU's music therapy program actually has a 100% pass rate on the National Board Certification Exam and 100% job placement after graduation. And Rob, before I did this story, I have to say I didn't know very much about music therapy, but I learned that there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, you can tell it's a lot more than just singing. It really is helping people.
Exactly. And coming up,
this sport is like addicting, you know.
We'll take a look at how these dogs help their owners.
Enroll, we say. We want you to be okay. Enroll, we say. Take care, people, for goodness sake. There's a plan for every budget, so don't accept defeat. Now you can get covered and still buy me treats.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
Wrapping up her floor routine on senior night for Utah State women's gymnastics team as they hosted the Broncos on Saturday night. Welcome to this edition of ATV Sports. I'm William Boltez. 6 Aggies are graduating, including Michaela Meyer, who became the MRGC Vault Specialist of the Week for the 3rd consecutive week. Despite an impressive showing from Meyer and Leighton Varnador, who captured the all-around crown, the Broncos pulled away with a season best of 196.4 to the Aggies' 195.325. Despite the loss, USU Women's Gymnastics still has their highest team ranking since 1999. On Friday, they take to the road to compete against Southern Utah. The Utah Jazz had some better luck this week, though. In their 3 games, they beat the Heat, the Bucks, and the 76ers on Monday. The 76ers got an early lead, but thanks to Jordan Clarkson, the Jazz never had to worry too much.
I've never played with anyone like JC in my lifetime, on the court or off the court.
It was a career game for Clarkson, who scored 40 points off the bench. The 76ers were able to hold on to a lead deep into the second quarter, led by an on-fire Ben Simmons, who also had a career game of 42 points. But they couldn't hold on. The Jazz won 134 to 123. The Jazz extended their winning streak to 8 games, the best in the league right now. They also have the best record, with 23 wins and only 5 losses. LeBron and the Lakers aren't far behind, though. The 2020 champs are coming off a win against the Timberwolves yesterday and are only 1.5 games behind the Jazz. The 2 league frontrunners will have a showdown next Wednesday in Salt Lake. There's a lot of talk about the Jazz making it to the finals this year, and they have made it twice before in 97 and 98, but they lost both times. And you're all caught up on sports. Back to you, Rob.
Thanks, William. Workers at Hardware Ranch canceled the annual winter elk sleigh rides for the first time this year. The harsh winds and heavy snow aren't why Hardware Ranch is getting less than 200 customers on the weekends. They usually get 1,000. Due to COVID-19 and the lack of space on the sleigh rides, ranch workers put the 70-year tradition of elk rides in the snow on pause. Workers say they're adjusting to empty roads and lack of people.
It's been weird and it's been quiet and it's been less busy.
Workers say that even though they aren't offering sleigh rides, you can still drive by and take a look at the animals.
You can't avoid it even if you tried. CBD products are everywhere. After being banned for decades, the 2018 Farm Bill kicked the hemp industry into action. Since then, the rules for growing hemp in the United States have been debated. One rule that's always seen pushback is the amount of THC, the chemical compound that gets you high, is allowed. The Utah Department of Agriculture says farmers want to raise the standard from 0.3%.
We get a lot of pushback to increase that. In order for us to be a legitimate state program that's registered with the USDA, we have to follow those guidelines as well.
Other rules that were changed include increasing harvest time after testing from 15 to 30 days and creating guidelines for different types of processors.
If you wanted to eat at the Hub last week, you might have noticed that it was closed. Leah Krishoni shows us how students are holding up.
Subway was busy this week because it was the only open restaurant in the Hub. Students missed their other options.
It's definitely been really sad because I come down here because I love the pastry case. I eat way too many pastries here at USU, and I've come down here. I came down here on Wednesday and it was just closed, and it was really sad.
Honestly, it really affects me because kind of provides food, and usually I don't have to go off campus, to get food, so it would help a lot if we had it on campus to not leave campus.
The closure not only affected what students ate, but temporarily changed the atmosphere of the Hub.
It's kind of affected tours too because we can't necessarily bring people down here because it's just not really a good look that a lot of the institutions down here are closed.
Utah State encourages everyone to use hand sanitizer and wear their mask. And though the Hub reopened this week, dining services say they'll continue to take their own precautions.
We do three things. We take their temperature, and if it's above 100.4, they're immediately sent home. We ask them if they have any symptoms, the COVID-related symptoms or new COVID-related symptoms, and based on that, we'll send them home. And we ask them if they've been exposed to anybody that's tested positive.
24 out of the 30 Hub employees were quarantined, and Anderson says he wants to make sure that
everybody doing everything we possibly can do, not just at work, but outside of work, to not get it. Because if nobody ever gets it, then nobody will ever be exposed to it.
Leah Krishoni, ATV News.
All of the restaurants in the Hub are now open. And in the movie Babe, a pig herds sheep. Over the weekend, I caught a competition with cows instead of sheep. Instead of a pig, cow dogs. This dog is trying to herd cows through obstacles as fast as it can. Stock dog competitions try to judge what dog can best control a group of livestock, something with real-world application.
Most of these dogs are working dogs for a living, and then we come to do this to compete for fun, that we enjoy it, or to see, how they measure up to other dogs and other breeding programs.
Each dog's handler enters the arena with them and gives them commands to follow.
I've done a lot of competitive things in my life, and this is the hardest thing that I've ever done.
Fences like this one inside the arena make up the course that the dogs run. Courses change at each event. On Saturday, dogs first had to move the cattle to the other end of the arena through these two fences, then weave them through here without allowing any to leave through this opening. Next, they had to pass the barrel and then bring them back and into the pen. The handler then separated the cows through this gate or this opening and then send them all through the exit door.
You're going to end up with 30 points.
Scorekeepers time the dog's run and mark whether or not they completed each obstacle. Cows don't always love the dogs, but the kids do.
You could do stuff so much easier than it should be. It's way easier.
She's a Scott dog sheep world champion. She listens to me.
Cows were the only livestock at last weekend's event, but other events include sheep. If you're interested in competing, there are divisions for beginner and junior handlers. So Sarah, do you think you've ever had a pet that could do any of that?
I've never had a pet, period. And after watching that, not sure if I want one.
So it's a little intimidating to see what they're able to do if you put enough work into it.
It's a lot of work. It seems like a lot of work for sure. Well, thanks for joining us on today's edition of ATV News. You can catch what you just saw on our Facebook page.
We'll leave you with a few more shots of this weekend's cow dog competition.